I just won't. I won't say my numbers.
That was on the recording, JP. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Muscle and Strength Podcast. It's Mickey Camartin with
JP Viansek.
We were just laughing, talking off air here before we started recording about today's topic because it's a fun one. We're going to talk about the best of the best. I wish I had like a soundboard so I could be like, the best around, and have the song play. But we're going to talk about our best lifts all time and give the people what they want because they want to hear how strong and amazing we are. No, we want to tell you, when this happened for us, how this happened for us, just to give you some context because I started thinking about this because the social media and everything is always a highlight reel of people's PRs. But I wanted to give everyone an idea of like what it was like when we hit our PRs for our training, what we were doing in life, what season of life was it, etc. Just so people have an idea of what actually goes into hitting a lifetime best lift, because it's not that easy as it looks on social media, I think is kind of the point of where I was coming from. But what are your thoughts, JP, before we jump in here?
Yeah, it's interesting to reflect back. We were just saying off air that how like vibrant these memories are for us. It's like you work so hard and you accomplish them, and then how maybe you get back there again, or maybe you get close, but yeah, and then just interesting to reflect on like what you were doing at that part of your life, and it kind of like puts into perspective of like, no wonder I'm not close to those numbers right now. I have so much going on. Like,
yeah.
I had nothing going on when I was hitting those numbers, like in your life. It was very singular focused.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are great, like good memories.
Yeah,
so
it's good memories. Yeah, and no matter how long ago it was, it's quite vivid and detailed, those memories, which is amazing because I'm sure my wife would be like, "You can't even remember when I tell you to grab at the grocery store, but I remember that back squat, baby, from 12 years ago." Or
when's the wedding anniversary? But hey,
you remember that time I deadlifted 506?
Yeah, that was what a day.
So let's start off the top. We're going to do the big three first. We'll talk about the big three lifts, and then we'll go from there. Maybe talk about clean and jerk and snatch if we've got a little time at the end, or we'll revisit those another episode. So we got squat, deadlift, bench press, all-time best lift. By the way, these are PED free. Just want everyone to know these are just hard work and dedication. These numbers are probably not going to blow your mind, but we're going to tell you our personal best all time. So let's start with squat, the king of the list. All right. What was your all-time best squat, JP? And tell us a story when it happened.
My best squat was 5'10".
Oh, God, I'm so sad.
Yeah, broke the 5. got into the 5s. It's funny. I broke 5 the first time on a low bar back squat, like 2000.
It doesn't even count. It doesn't even count then.
Yeah. Honestly, like I was just trying to experiment with it. I was just trying to get heavy weight on my back, and I was just messing around. I think one day with low bar, and I got to like above 485, maybe 475, and it felt really easy. And I just kind of slapped on a little extra weight and got up to couple plates on each side, little 2.5s, and I low bar back squatted 500, which felt very easy. So I felt like it was. Looking in the moment, I was like, that was cheating. Like I was like,
because it was low bar.
It didn't count. Didn't count. And then years later, like when I was like kind of like in my prime of my CrossFit career, training with you, I squatted like the 510. And
that was high bar, like when you
were
more Olympic lift.
Yeah. And I felt like that was like, okay, that's the stamp. I didn't really have like any aspirations to go farther there. But yeah, that was my best.
Was that at CrossFit Free or
CrossFit Free
on a training day?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Were you doing like a squat cycle at the time, or were you just...
Yeah, I was definitely focused on a lot of legs. I think there was a squat cycle, and then it was just like a max out day, like a test day. So just kind of went for it.
Sent it.
Yeah. And I think like, you wear a lot of equipment. I had my belt. I remember my knee sleeves. Like, I think I had not knee sleeves. I had my knees wrapped, and
did you have your Oli shoes on? Yeah. Oli.
Yeah. So it was like, felt like I was like bulletproof. So, and it's funny. I don't always train. Like, I think something that helped me and it gave me an advantage is like, I don't always train with a belt or always train with knee sleeves, but like when I was maxing, like when I got over a certain weight, over 450, like then I started putting that stuff on. It felt like it was like almost like propelled me. Like it was like I got cheat codes.
Yeah, because you weren't using it before.
Yeah, so it's like train harder. I was trained as hard as I could with good form and good technique. And I think the big thing is like I could max because I had good squat form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'd be something I'd be pushing if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of. I think I remember adding like putting the knee sleeves on, knee wraps on, and belt on. I felt like I could squat anything. I could squat anything. I put this bar.
Yeah, you're like it's game time now. It's game
Yeah.
time. So, do you think in your training at that time, leading up to there, like let's call it 8 weeks out from then, had you added anything in differently? Had you, obviously, if it's in the peak of your CrossFit career, you were like sleeping as much as possible, probably eating well, still probably overtrained as we all were at that time. But was there anything you think you added in that like pushed you over, or was it more of like an accumulation over the years of just working hard on your squat, doing well with your squat, doing it the right way?
For me, I think specifically it was just core work. My core was really strong at that time. Whether that was like just doing the CrossFit stuff or I think heavy lifting in general kind of like braced my core.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like a good build up to that weight. Because the limiting factor for me is just like, can I brace my core? My legs weren't really like giving out on me. It was like, can I maintain position as I stood up? So I think like my core was at its strongest, whether that was just like from, sometimes a lot of heavy deadlifts helped me with that or some back extensions. I think that was like part of the program. I had like a lot of core work going on. So that kind of, with like, I think just at that point you have to feel the weight. Like you have to have heavy weight on to
frequently. Yeah.
Frequently. So maybe that was like during an Olympic lifting clean cycle or whatever it might be. But yeah, just, and I think I did it fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but I think I probably could have done more, but I was like, why do like 500, getting past that 500, 510 was like, okay, I have the capacity. I didn't, think about CrossFit being well-rounded. I didn't need to,
what's 550 going to do?
Yeah. Like I just didn't add much more to it. So it was just like, it was nice to check back off the box. Okay. I'm at this weight, I'm at this strength, but it wasn't like, I wasn't as excited or maybe, it wasn't as much of a milestone as it was like maybe the first time I did it.
Okay.
Because I kind of felt like I already had the capacity. I'm like, oh, I've done this before.
So it's more like just like a reassurance to yourself, like, all right, like this is in the bag. I've got this.
And I think of reflecting on it, like it would have been interesting if I just dedicated myself to powerlifting. I think that was my strength. Like, what could I have gotten that up to?
Because 500 pounds is no joke for a back squat. Considering all the other stuff you were doing, right? Like that are basically interference with your strength at that time, right?
Yeah. And I think I did like, I think I was doing just CrossFit and I did a powerlifting competition. And I did like 475, like pretty easily in a back squat in competition. And I ended up winning that competition. I didn't cut weight for it.
That was like way in the early years, right? When you were like
early, yeah. It was like, squat, bench, deadlift. And
legs are like pistons. Those things are pistons.
I ended up having the best total, like out of everyone, not just my weight division. So,
and everyone's like, what
it's like, it's like body weight to like how much weight you lift.
Yeah. There's a Sinclair or something, some sort of.
And I was like, I won the whole thing. And I was like, I didn't even train for this. But at the time, I just thought to myself, I was in my early 20s. I was like, when I'm in my late 30s and I can't CrossFit anymore, maybe I'll go back to powerlifting. And I just like, at that point, I was just too burnt. I was too burnt out.
Here we are, JP. It's time.
Let's go back to it.
So my best back squat was 411. So I was at least within 100 pounds of you.
Hey,
thank God. I was going to say, if I wasn't within 100 pounds, I'd be embarrassed. And mine actually came after the hardcore CrossFit era for me. It was at home in my garage, and I was just building up to a heavy single. My wife was there with her brother, so my brother-in-law was there, and we were just doing like some heavy singles. And it was one of those things where you're just hitting heavy singles and the weight feels good. You've had one of those days. Yeah. And I was like, well, I've hit 400 before. Let's just see if I can do 410. But in my little gym, my garage gym, my 2.5s or my fives were actually 5.5s because they were like kilo plates because I just had a hodgepodge of stuff. So I put those on. That made it 411, and I hit I hit the squat. And like you said, I had
with clips on or clips off?
Yeah, clips on. So definitely 411.
Yeah.
No doubt there. And like you said, I probably had some more in the tank, but I hit it. And at the time, I wasn't doing CrossFit. I was just sort of working out to get strong. I was like, I don't really need to risk it. I also didn't want to bail out in front of my wife and brother-in-law on a next lift after I had hit that one. So I was like, let's just call it a day. But for me, that was a big deal because I think I've only squatted over 400 pounds like 2 or 3 times in my whole life. And I never was in like a great squatter. I don't know if it was physiologically or anatomically, like the way my femur's length is and my hips and all that stuff just was never, and I just never was a super powerful guy. Like my strength ratio was always close. Like if I could, like I could squat 400 and I could clean like 3 to 315. So like those two things were always going to be kind of close for me. At the time I was a big focus on strength and sprinting stuff and like short workouts. I wasn't doing anything long or super heavy on the conditioning. I was actually squatting twice a week. So I was doing a front squat day and a back squat day. I think just because I wasn't a great squatter, I needed that dose along with like a heavy dose of like, was doing a lot of Bulgarian split squats. I was also pulling heavy once a week with deadlifts. So I was just like on a heavy strength cycle with the big three. And for me, being someone who wasn't great at adding strength, especially with my lower body, I was always a hard gainer with deadlift and squat. I think that was the only way I was going to get to that number if I wanted to squat 400 pounds. But it was interesting because it was after CrossFit was over, but before kids. So I could train a while in the garage, and I wasn't going to be, missing time with my family because, we had just gotten married. And so we had a house, but, I could take care of the house stuff whenever there weren't kids, knocking on the door, trying to bust down the garage door. So I could take my sweet time and really, pile on the strength work that might have been overkill at the time, but I really don't think I would have got over a 400-pound squat unless I was really, really pushing that strength work. And I also was sleeping a ton and eating really well because I didn't have kids waking me up or really super early, or I didn't have a lot of stressors. Not to say that it's bad to have those stressors. They're my favorite stressors on earth, but you just don't have that stuff right on your plate. So it's really much more convenient to train in that way and add strength, get fitter, spend time in the gym, and all that stuff sort of like contributed to that happening. But 411, best of all time. And I have a video of it. And like Shannon, I made some funny comment. As I was standing up, and I always remember Shannon being like, "Oh God," she's like annoyed with me. Like it's like a microcosm of our relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, and after that, very similar to you. I was like, okay, I hit 411. Like, I don't really want to I don't need to get any stronger. And I don't really care if I ever hit another 400-pound squat. I was 33 or 34 at the time. Didn't have any other big aspirations. I was kind of just like, all right, I'm fit. I checked that box, moving on. I'm good.
Yeah. I think that's I'm impressed that you did it in your garage.
Yeah. So kind of caveat to that, I guess, is it was in the infancy when I started programming for myself and a little bit for others. So it was one of those proof is in the pudding moments where it like reaffirmed like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Like I got myself to a 411-pound back squat. I'm not breaking world records, but I've never done this before. So it sort of reaffirmed me in believing that I know how to program, or at least I have some kind of idea what I'm doing. So, and I was training alone, which was kind of cool. Like, so it was like my own formula, solo in the garage, and sort of figured it out.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Cool to have that.
All right. I'm almost scared to ask, but what was your best deadlift?
Yeah, I reflected back on the numbers. I don't really have like an exact. I've never 1 rep maxed my deadlift ever.
There's never been enough plates at the gym I was at for me to be able to do it.
Yeah. It just kind of maxed out. I think like it was like early on. I think I deadlifted. It was always in the 5s. So it was like 500. I think I always hit 500. I was like, why do I need more?
Yeah, because I've seen you myself rep out 500 for like 3.
So that was my best. It was 555, and I did it for 3.
Yeah, that's just bananas.
And then I was like, well, why do I ever need to do 1? And like, I think it was. I don't know if it would. That one wasn't within a workout, but like it was just like it was at CrossFit Free, and I don't know. I was deadlifting and felt good, and
Just
yeah, I
kept
just
it
jumped
going.
up. Yeah, I just kept it going. But like 555 for three, and it wasn't really like. I think maybe the last one was a little like I was kind of losing my back a little bit.
Hmm.
But for me, it's like I barely lose my back position. Everyone's like, your form looked perfect the whole time. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
felt, like when you do a movement, you're like, man, I look like a
I think I
like
have
a
video
turtle.
of it. I think I have video of it because we were just goofing around in the side room, and
Yeah,
we were hitting heavy threes, and I did like 385, and I was like, oh, like dying, and then you put on like two of the 55s, and then like more on top of it,
yeah,
and you did that. So I was just like videotaping. I was like, good lord.
yeah.
um,
That was like my best was 555. But I've done five. I did fives a bunch. Just work up to like a heavy couple, two, three
so again, it's
reps.
one of those things like what ifs. Like I bet you probably could have hit close to six if someone was like, you got to do this for $1,000,000. Here's 600 pounds. Like you could probably get close to 600 pounds.
Oh
I
yeah,
would say.
yeah. I think so.
So at that time, was that the same time when you hit the 511
Yeah,
squat?
it was close to it was within the year of that. I just
So
remember
kind of
it.
similar training time frame, training mentality at the time of competitive CrossFit. Um, Did you do? Was there anything you remember specifically doing, or you just you've always been good at pulling off the floor? That's just like
Always,
neurologically,
yeah.
it's good for you.
That again, it was like always like if my squat. It's funny. When my squat and deadlift are always like pretty like within 100 pounds of each other.
Hmm.
So it's like if my deadlift was that much, my squat was going up. So it's kind of like if I was squatting and deadlifting heavy, those numbers kept
They
going
just kept
up.
going up.
Yeah, I would have liked. I think I would have liked to just one rep max, but like the risk reward for me was like I've never had like a bad back injury. I've never been injured. Legs have always been healthy, so it's like nothing. I never. It was just what would I get out of doing 50 more pounds and doing 600? Like I don't know.
Just the
Just was
bragging
like,
rights, man.
yeah. I was just like I'm good with it. So it was kind of like how much like it. I don't know why I deadlifted kind of reflected back on like okay, I'm not going to be you know, cleaning 400 pounds. So why do I need to be deadlifting?
Yeah,
If I could deadlift 500, like I have the capacity, I just need to do it faster.
yeah, it makes
So it's
sense.
just like,
It,
but I think I think again, like the squat, I wish, I don't know what my human potential could have been
mm-hmm.
if I just did those two, just try to go as heavy as I could. But, um,
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna say conservatively, we're gonna say your best all time would have been like 575, right? Let's just say that, But I would have given
yeah,
you six, but a safe 575, 580 easily, which is
yeah,
again just absurd because you're not even like a power lifter. Like some power lifters like wish they could have that number, and that's a nuts. That's
yeah.
crazy.
I think body weight wise, I was like 220. So I was like kind of heavy, heavier than I am now. I think that extra. I think when you're lifting that heavy, I think extra weight helps.
Yeah.
So I see like
Mass
why.
moves mass a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was on my heavier side of lifting then. So I think like it helped. I don't know. I
And
think
that
it's
was during your time when you were still figuring out your diet, right? Because that was peak CrossFit time. You're still trying to figure out eating wise.
I didn't. Yeah. A lot of that was overtraining. I was like very swollen,
Mm-hmm.
very
Yeah.
like puffy.
Yeah.
I don't think my nutrition is as good as it is now. Well, it definitely isn't. But yeah, I was trying to,
Figure
I
that all
wasn't
out.
eating ideally for my body as well.
Yeah. So my best deadlift was 506. Very similarly, it was right around the same time I hit that back squat. I was doing some very heavy strength cycles. I was mixing in a lot of deficit deadlifts. So I was basically doing like a heavy and a lighter squat and deadlift day within the same week. I was walking a very fine line and programming wise, but I was like, I want to get a 500-pound deadlift. I want to get a 400-pound back squat. So let me see if I can do this. So I was doing like a heavier deadlift day and then a lighter deadlift day. So was doing like some deficit deadlifts, and a lot of like banded deadlifts. So some stuff in like the 60 to 70% range with some like moderate band tension to help me lock out the top and like finish that top half. And the deficit deadlifts was for me to work on my like initial pull because I usually, if I got it off the ground, was finishing any deadlift, but it was getting it off the ground first. That was like always the issue for me because I was, again, never super explosive, not a big type 2 muscle fiber guy. So I wasn't pulling a ton of weight off the floor could never power clean a ton of weight. That was just like how I was built. So I got that, I think, before the back squat, probably a month or two before I got my 411 back squat. I hit 506 in the garage alone. It was a testing day. I remember saying like, I want to hit the deadlift today. And I just built up heavy singles and hit it. Hit 506. Started to get a little mashed potatoes. Probably had something more like 510, 511 in there. Like if I wanted to be, but I was like, okay, I'm not hurt. I'm unscathed after a super heavy deadlift for me. So I'm not going to push the envelope there. But again, the scenario was,
you were good at pulling. You were a good puller.
Yeah, but not like, I wasn't one of those guys who's going to walk in the gym and just like yank 405 off the floor, like with speed, right? Like I could pull, like my form was always solid. Like I wasn't sloppy, but I wasn't like, you see some people come in. You remember Bob at CrossFit Free? Like he shout out Bob. He would come in and he could just like pull 405 because he was just sort of like had the levers and just like twitchy. Some people are just twitchy like that. And like I could pull 405, but it would just be like slow and steady as we go, right?
I think I really like. I remember doing a lot of deficit deadlifts, like you said, like just to break the.
That's a huge shout out to deficit deadlifts. If you've never done them, really helped me build up my deadlift strength because I was like running into a wall and not figuring out like, okay, I'm stuck at like 475, 480, and then I started to add those in. And the band resisted deadlifts. Yeah. And so I basically was like hitting the bottom and top half of my deadlift. All right. And those two things combined sort of like came together, and pushed me through that barrier. And honestly, like you said, because I was squatting heavy too. And I tell athletes this all the time because we don't deadlift a ton on my programming now with athletes is if squat's going up, your deadlift's probably going to go up. As long as you're taking care of your posterior chain a little bit and doing your due diligence. If your squat goes up, you can assume that your deadlift's going to go up as well, at least a little bit. So don't worry about your deadlift disappearing just because you're not pulling all the time. But yeah, that was my deadlift, 506, best all time. And I hit that one more time with a trap bar maybe a couple years ago, which kind of like your low bar back squat. I don't call it cheating, but I'm like, it's not the same thing. And it was relatively easy-ish for me. But the straight bar deadlift, 506, right around that time, no kids, just training in the garage alone, way too much, a lot of strength work.
I hit 485 for two or three. Like,
are you saying that to make me feel bad?
Within this year, I was going to a CrossFit gym down here in North Carolina.
You just want to show the people something.
Yeah, and it was just like, and I wasn't really training that much. I think I was going once a week or twice a week. It was just a deadlift day, and I was like, I haven't deadlifted in a while. And it was just like everything felt so light, just kept throwing them on, and it wasn't a great idea to do it without that much.
Did you feel it the next day, where you're like, oh man?
I mean, I love the feeling of like just being like. I wasn't hurt, but I was like, oh, I definitely like different.
You feel like it's like CNN. You feel like physiologically spent. If that makes sense, you're like your body's just like.
I love like a sore back, like muscle wise, like just like oh man, that's so like it just feels like.
You sound like Ronnie Coleman right now.
Yeah,
lightweight baby.
Yeah.
Did that give you an itch? Like, maybe I want to like build it back up, or you're like 485 is enough. Like we're.
I think if my sleep was a little bit better, and if I had time, I think right now, like love my kids, and that's my focus is my family. If I had a little more time, I think I would, bump up the weights a little bit more. I have 45 minutes, if that, a day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like.
Stay in the safe zone where there's
get what I can in. It's not really like I'm not trying to like bring up one thing at a time, just kind of bring up everything.
Mm-hmm.
So not a focus right now, but I wouldn't be opposed to get back into it. I think the big thing, if you're listening, the takeaway is like you have to have really good form to max out.
Yeah,
like
safely. Yeah, you can max out and look like crap, but it's not a good idea.
Like my warm up and my max looked like close to the same form wise. Like it wasn't it's no, once I felt like my form and technique was failing, like I cut everything. I was like, I'm done.
And this is another reason too. I always tell people it is not vanity to videotape yourself working out. Because especially if you're alone, like I was in the garage doing my heavy lifts. My 411 back squat is on video, and if you watch it, it looks no different than like a 350 back. Like they look exactly the same. And my deadlift, the 506 versus the 495 I did before that, you can only just see my back start to give a little bit. But other than that, it's not like the cat back smashed potatoes. And when I saw that little, I watched it in that moment, and when I saw that little bit of my back going, I was like, okay, that's all. Like we're all done here. So, it's not a bad thing to videotape your lifts, especially if you're doing like maxes. It's a really good idea, actually.
And I actually found that videotaping for me, I felt like I was at failure, and then I watched the video and be like, oh no, I wasn't even close.
Yeah, the bar speed is here.
Bar speed's there. My form didn't break down, so it almost like was like, hey, kind of give me that like, hey, get a little confidence. Or like if I was watching someone max out, I've watched thousands of people max out. You could always be like, hey, you got 10 more pounds on you, or like you can do a little bit more.
Yeah.
So kind of like while watching those videos, kind of a little bit, hey, it gives you a little confidence.
So
I'll throw one more extra out there. My max front squat.
Okay. All right.
Is 429.
429. What a number.
It was like 430, 420. It was like
some weird kilo pound combination.
Yeah. So I did that for 2.
Oh my gosh.
I have that on video. I think that's on my Instagram.
Is that like I feel like that would almost I'd be more proud of than my back squat, because front squat is so hard. So hard to go heavy.
I think I was more proud of that one than back squat.
For 2 no less. That's pretty wild. I think my best front squat's 350, which I did like the same exact time when I hit the 411. But yeah, I remember thinking like the 350, I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
Those 3, my front squat, back squat, deadlifts were all like within the same, 6 months, year.
Are you willing to share? Do you remember your bench press all time?
I do.
What is it?
It was in college. It was like 335.
Okay. All right.
I never bench. I should have spent more time benching. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like kind of like you squatting, like atomically, like my shoulders and the way my arms are, my elbow lockout. Like I just felt like it was just like, I think I was actually like, I was like 235. I was heavy.
Oh, you were.
I was juiced.
You were fluffy, JP.
I was really fluffy. That was like my like bulk up.
So that's my only one I got you on, because I did 340. Again, it's funny. All 3 of those lists. So 340 bench press. You did yours in college. Mine was in that same time when I was like,
I think during that time frame of like when I was doing all my heavy lifts, I think it was like 315, but it wasn't like, it wasn't even like a good, like, it felt like when I maxed out my bench, I felt like my elbows like flare out so much, and my
shoulders were feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, very similar to like, I made a post about this the other day. Like, I just don't feel great when I try to heavy front or back squat, honestly. So like for me, like Bulgarian, like loading up a single leg squat is just, I feel so much better. Like
dumbbells, I could max out dumbbell bench like easy, like doing like, so it's like kind of like your Bulgarian's my dumbbell bench. Like it's just like, I feel so much better doing that.
I've always been more like a easier gainer, upper body stuff. Pressing stuff has always been sort of like my jam. I've always been able to sort of do well with it. And I did the bench press 340 at the same time when I was in like, I hit my back squat 411 in like that same like 6-month period. And I did it alone, which was dumb, first of all, but also I didn't put clips on, so I could have like dumped it if I needed to. And I probably had like a smidge more in there, maybe 5 or 10 pounds, but I wasn't going to test that. But yeah, I at the time I was doing a lot of like heavy dips, a lot of direct tricep work with like push downs, dumbbell tricep rollbacks. And I was doing like a heavy and a light bench press day. One day was heavy, and then the other day was lighter with bands, resistance. And I think all that stuff, combined kind of bumped it up there. But I was always floating around 315. So it wasn't a huge jump for me to go from there to 340. But I just kind of focused on it with some specific pressing stuff that helped me push over the edge. But 340 was the number. And now I look back doing that one alone, I was like, oh, man, that was so dumb. But I got away with that one.
Yeah.
I don't even think Shannon was home. I think I was literally home alone. Like my dog would have had to save me.
Wow. Yeah. That's
don't do that, kids. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. Life or death. Yeah, I never really maxed out after that, point in college, probably the strongest I was. But yeah, I don't know, just was a number. I was like, I don't really care. Mm-hmm. Out of all those numbers, I think the bench press is like, I don't know what it translates to as much.
Yeah, it's not really, unless you're a power lifter or maybe football, but even football, I feel like we've been saying this as like a common thread through the conversation, but at a certain point you get to like, that's strong enough. Now what does that translate to? Like take the strength and put it into something that you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
Which is similar to our conversation about like baseline. What's the baseline strength you should have when we talked about like, you should be able to back squat your 1.5 body weight or whatever. It's like, if you can maintain a base level, then like use that for something. I think that's a better approach than just going all in on just pure strength numbers, unless you're a power lifter or like an Olympic lifter.
Yeah, definitely. I think it has to, why are you, lifting those? I think it's good to have a good why, because like sometimes if you're at the gym, like say you just go to Gold's Gym or wherever it is, you're lifting, it's like, how much is enough? Is it, are you lifting for looks or strength, or, what are you focusing on? So,
and that's kind of why, like now, like I'll briefly mention our like snatch and clean and jerk, because that was our big, in CrossFit, you had to have those, right? Because it was part of the competition. You had to have the Olympic lifts, but I never snatch anymore. Don't ever even like, I dumbbell snatch sometimes for like power work, but that's super kind to my shoulders. And I only power clean sometimes. Like I kind of do it in waves and then I'll take a break from it. But I never fully clean and jerk anymore. And I might do like behind the neck push press or push jerk just for fun here and there separately, but I won't do a clean and jerk together. But I just like, for me, it's like, why? Like, I don't need to do those things. There's a lot of risk. I'm not knocking the Olympic lifts, but as a dad in my garage at 39, like, what am I snatching for? Like, I don't need to snatch. There's just so much risk involved. So I think my best snatch was 241. Mm-hmm. And that was peak CrossFit time. That was at CrossFit Free. We were just hitting heavy singles. And it was one of those days that felt good. I think we were in the middle of a cycle with snatching and Olympic lifting. And I just had a good day. The pan was hot, so I was cooking and hit 241. Snatch just never clicked for me. Like I always would watch people snatch and be like, why? Like, it just looks like it's just like, remember Brooks Farrar? Shout out Brooks. Yeah. Awesome dude. He was just such a great mover, right? Great athlete, and just like moved really well. Like everything was crisp and clean for him. And he used every ounce of his strength, like to the nth degree. I bled strength so much on like my clean and jerk and my snatch because my technique was not great. So like I hit that 241 and it felt pretty awful, but like I hit it. I was like, that's all I got for today. And like, I just never was able to bust through that like 240, 250 ceiling. It did. And it would, annoy me to no end because he just worked snatch endlessly as a CrossFitter. But there was nothing really special going on in my training. I was just doing strength work, doing CrossFit, and it just happened to click that day for whatever reason. But 241 was it for me.
It's funny. We've trained together for years, and I would have, if someone's like, "What's Mickey's snatch?" I would have been like, "It's 260." Like, I don't know.
No, never.
In my head, I'm like, I think I've seen him snatch like 250 or
240, like, 241. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe that was just like
in your dreams, JP.
Yeah, in a workout. But I feel like in a workout, you could have hit 235.
So that was I was always like, I could operate at like, I could hit 225 singles. Like if you were like, go get super fatigued and I'd hit 225
like
singles.
I've seen you do like a workout in there's 225 snatches and you do it.
Well, at regionals, I had to do 3 225 snatches and under duress. And I did that. I did it fine, but it's like add 15 pounds and the wheels just fall off.
Right. Yeah,
so, so 241, that was it.
My best was 275.
Jeez, I never saw you hit that. I seen you hit heavy, but I never saw you hit 275 in person.
Yeah, that was once, and it was like it felt like the stars aligned, and like it almost like you know, how, like you luckily fall into it sometimes on snatches. Like it just like
it landed, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
stand
like
up quick
perfectly.
before it's over.
Like, yeah, like I don't even know. Like I was like, quick, take the picture. And it was like I just like dropped it right away. Like it felt like picture. I couldn't. It felt like I could never do that again. Like if you were like, could you do that again? I'm like, no, never. Like that was just like everything timing wise. Like I by accidentally took a little step forward and the bar landed on me. Like, and I caught it. Like
yeah,
it was like felt like very inconsistent. So
it's a frustrating.
Wasn't my. I didn't have the mobility. I think the reason also I'd say like powerlifting would have been good for me is like I just didn't have the mobility for Olympic lifting. Like I just shouldn't have been maxing it, or I should just been like really focusing on like slow overhead squats, or you know I could have done more to optimize those. But at the end of the day, I was just like it wasn't my wheelhouse, you know. So, but yeah.
You and again, you probably had like a 250 snatch, and you're sort of like, okay, like if I'm in this ballpark, like I'm not going to see much heavier like in a workout, you know, at competition. My clean and jerk all time best was 315. I hit that in the garage around the same time when I hit the back squat, the deadlift, the bench press. I was on like a heavy cycle, and I always wanted to hit the 3 wheels, right? Get 3 wheels and do the 315 clean and jerk to sort of like check that box. And for me, it was always the clean. My legs were never super strong. My technique was like okay on the clean, so catching it in a good position to squat it had to be just right for me. And I have it on video. The clean's pretty solid, and then if I stood anything up ever, I knew that I could jerk it because my jerk was always way more than my clean. I think my best jerk was like 341 or something like that. So like I knew if I could clean it, I could jerk it. So I cleaned it kind of ugly, got it up and hit the jerk. And again, it was one of those, all right, I checked the box. I really don't have a desire to like go any heavier than 315. Like that was just something I wanted to do. It was post CrossFit, had all the time in the world to work on it and did it. And then that was that.
Yeah, total opposite. I could clean anything. I felt like if I cleaned it, like I was like, I don't know if I can get this overhead. If I could get most of my shoulders, and then I was just like, I don't know about this. I think it was 335 was my best clean and jerk.
And probably could clean through, what'd you clean? 350, 365?
I think within a workout, I did like it was like double unders, burpees, and I think I got like to 345 for a couple. Maybe it was like hang clean. It was like hang power clean or something like that.
Yeah, so I was gonna say you probably had 365 in the bag if you wanted to hit it.
Yeah, clean. It was the jerk that like just it didn't compute for me. my shoulders lock out. That was tough.
Yeah, so I guess for me, like the training thing on the 315 was my squat and deadlift were monstrous at the time for me, like relative to what it had been before. So that's why the clean was possible. Like I think I was cleaning one day a week, clean and jerking one day a week, just with some clean pulls. But that was probably just the technique that was being worked on. It really wasn't the strength. The fact I was squatting super heavy and pulling super heavy made it 315 off the floor when you can pull 500. That's 60%, right? So It feels like nothing. So that's why the clean felt decent versus before I'd get absolutely smashed by anything close to 300. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the story of our greatest lifts of all time. The GOLAT, GOLAT, the greatest lifts of all time.
What's your max pull-up? I feel like you have a good pull-up.
Weighted?
Weighted.
I think the best weighted pull-up I've ever done is like 120. And I'd call that a clean one. I think I hit something in the 130s where like I had a little bit of squirreliness in the chin, kind of, you know. But I've hit it 120 clean one. I've hit like 130 or 140 chin up clean. I've done like 115 or 120 dip. I could probably do way more on a dip, but I'm always very cautious because I'm afraid of like blowing out my pec, like because it's a pretty compromised position. But I'm a big fan of doing weighted. You know, I still do to this day. I still do those
weighted pull-ups, weighted dips. I'd put like almost just as high as a max bench. Like I'd be like, I'd almost rather have those numbers higher than a max bench.
Yeah,
for me personally, but maybe it's just because I stink at benching.
yeah. But yeah, it's funny. Speaking of max numbers, like I maxed out a couple weeks ago at the end of my summer like cycle I was doing just to see, but it was like 90% max. Like I hit lifts, and if you watch the video, it was like, that's really not a max, Mickey. I'm like, I know, but I'm not. I just wanted to see like what's in there. So yeah, I just don't max anymore. I don't see a need for it, but
I didn't feel like I cared about maxing until we interviewed Warren on our last
that's
episode.
funny you say that, because like he's like, I still do hard stuff. Like he mentioned doing hard things still and like pushing it at an older age.
And he mentioned his maxes, which I was very impressed with.
The 235 clean. I was like, what?
I think we have to make a public apology to 60-year-olds.
Yeah, I think we've been giving them.
We've been bagging on them.
We have not given them their flowers.
Yeah, and he reminded us that they deserve a lot more credit.
Yeah,
they could do a lot.
He's
more.
Not the typical 60-year-old, but they're capable of a lot more.
But I think just him alone, I was like, man, he told us he's like still deadlifts 400 and cleans 230, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't know. After talking to him, I'm like, I don't want to not just try to max, like, because I think it's important to have those higher numbers.
Yeah.
Or know where they are, or like have an idea of where they are. I just think like in this period, like time of my life, like I think, having young kids, they demand a little more maybe when they're older. I think it's nice that where I'm at, I feel like I'm at a good foundation to like, okay, I want to go build my strength up. I can do that. Or, hey, I want to go get leaner, or, whatever it might be. I feel like I'm at like a good point to jump off to do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, that we're not in our prime. It's like still, I don't know. It's sometimes like, oh, I'm never going to go to those numbers. Why try?
Mm-hmm.
But then after hearing him talk about it, I'm like, no, I still want to keep those numbers up.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like, I don't feel like in the next year or two, it's like on the front of my radar.
Yeah. I think it's like right now we're playing it safe, right? We're being conservative because like you said, like you can't go on the IR as a parent with young kids because that's unfair to your spouse, unfair to your kids. Right. But when there's a little more wiggle room and you want to dip your toe in the water of, I'm going to maybe try to pull 500 again, or maybe I want to try to back squat 400. If there's a certain number you have in your head and you're a parent listening to this, I think it's okay to push and go hard and do that. I think the timing is everything, like when you do it, and making sure that you have the proper, like, everything else is also conducive to it. Like, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Because like right now, I got up in the middle of the night last night because my middle girl got up at like 2 a.m. It's like, today would be a terrible day to go and like max a heavy lift, right? Yeah. But it's a great day to go in and just do 60, 70, 80% and keep the ball rolling in the right direction. So I think that timing is everything. Because I agree with you. Like Warren, awesome, first of all, dude, and just kind of opens your eyes like, man, like life is not over when you get to 60 or 70 even. Like, you can still do some awesome stuff and lift heavy, be super fit. And I think for me, I've been doing that more with like the sprinting, jumping stuff, like trying to sprint real hard once a week and do that kind of stuff. And that gives me a little bit of like the max effort feel that I'm not getting with the barbell necessarily. Yeah. And it's still risky, but it's less risky than trying to yank 500 pounds and blow my back out or something like that. So, knock on wood, but it's not a 1-for-1 trade-off, but that's kind of like where I've been putting my chips in that pile at the moment. But I agree with you totally.
Any max dunking of a basketball yet?
I am right now, probably in this next week or so, because I finished the cycle and then soccer started up, but we've been kind of on again, off again with like travel each week. My legs still feel really, really good. I just haven't had like a moment to go find a spot to like see if I can grab the rim or whatever else. Just because it's been super busy with girls soccer started up on Saturdays, my soccer, but I feel super good. I feel springy and I'm sort of like in maintenance mode right now. I'm not losing anything by any means, but I definitely need to get out there and just test it before the wear and tear of soccer season starts to set in, and I'll go backwards a little bit. But it's still on the goal, baby. It's still the goal. Still get that dunk and be fast, no matter how old.
Love it.
So I think we'll wrap it up there. Greatest lifts of all time. If you're listening to this and you want to send us one of your greatest lifts, I'm sure people got those videos out there. I might post one of my old videos to pair with this when we post it on social media here. But where can the people find you, JP?
JP Wiz on Instagram.
You can find me at the Dad Bod Chronicles on Instagram as well. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.